everybody, and welcome to our first webinar on releasing and expressing the inner feminine power and passion. And I'm really excited to be leading this webinar today, but I'm even more excited because we've got some amazing experts in the field of feminine power and passion that are joining us. And in a moment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be introducing them. But before I do that, I wanted to just quickly tell you what we're going to be doing over the course of the next hour. So over the course of the next hour, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the 7 soul steps. I call them soul steps because I really believe that it is about us finding the steps within ourselves that are guided by our soul, by the authentic us, so that we can start thriving in our feminine power and passion. And we're also going to be learning from our experts who will be sharing throughout the course of the webinar, and we're going to be telling you how and giving you some tips on how to integrate some of these concepts. So without further ado, what I wanted to do is just wanted to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. I'll introduce myself. Here I am in the middle. My name is Connie-Lee Bennett, and I live in Paris, and I've been living in Paris for 2 years. And what I do is I call myself an inner feminine power and passion guru. And what I do is I basically provide the space for women to step into the empowerment of who they truly are by doing workshops. I see clients doing one-to-ones. I have an online program that we'll be talking about a bit later at the end of the webinar, giving you an opportunity to join us in some awesome opportunities of integration. But I also am an international speaker. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to this lovely lady over here, this gorgeous lady called Susan Ball. Susan, hi, can you hear me?
I can, Connie. It's so exciting to be here. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Thanks for joining us, Susan. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I do not live in Paris. I live in Nova Scotia, Canada. And that picture is not Nova Scotia, it's in Cuba. Really warm. But that being said, I am a women's freedom coach and a self-love activist. And I work with women who are recovering from toxic, abusive, unhealthy, nasty relationships. I help them discover their self-confidence, their rebel self-love, that part of them that says, hey, I'm important, I'm worth it. I encourage them to free their gut voice so that they're going by instinct more than by the shoulds and the should nots. So that's what I do, and I'm writing a book called Courage and Grace. So yeah, and I'm really excited to be part of this international partnership with Connie and Maya and this other young lady who I don't know who she is.
Wonderful, wonderful. And let's check if Maya is available. Otherwise, she might be joining us in a moment. Maya, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here. You
Wonderful.
Can join. You can turn on my video if you want now.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so let's turn on your video so that everyone watching can see you. Maya, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm home now.
Wonderful.
I'm Maya. I'm a transformational and spiritual coach. Apart from other things, I'm also a voice coach. So my main role is really to empower women and so they can fulfill their own potential, their full potential, and recognize their inner strength. So that's why I feel so connected with you, Connie, because like we have, I feel, a very similar mission.
Yeah.
And so I'm so happy to be a part of this. And I love, Susan, I already told you this, that I love your mission too, because many compassionate and sensitive, high sensitive women, especially, more sensitive women definitely enter some toxic relationships and can find themselves in some tricky situations. And I think it's very valuable what you're doing. So I'm really happy to know you and get to know you. So yeah, happy to be a part of this webinar. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, my absolute honor, and it's really lovely to be working with these amazing women. The beautiful lady that you see over here, this is Mary. She's going to be joining us a bit later. She just sent me a message saying that she'll be joining us in a bit. So let's get started, shall we, ladies? So we would like you to type in any questions that you might have in the chat box, and what we'll do is we will answer them during the course of the webinar. So throughout the course of the webinar, please feel free to just keep on writing questions that you have in the chat box, and we will answer them as we go through. So we're going to be, hopefully by the end of this hour, giving you 7 soul steps to help you step into your inner feminine power and passion. So the first step I wanted to talk about was this idea of trust. Step number 1 is, it's really important for me that we as people, as women especially, find a space where we feel safe. Now, let's say, for example, you are in, let's say, in an abusive relationship where you're feeling that you're not in any way safe to express your, safe in your home, rather than, even beginning to be able to express the truth of who you are. Maybe in that particular situation, you might not feel safe in your home, but where is it that you do feel safe? Do you feel safe being able to express yourself with certain people in your life? Do you have people that you feel safe with? I mean, some people have spoken to me and they said, well, Connie, I didn't even have friends that I feel safe enough to talk to. Because it's the first step is about finding, if you don't feel safe to even go into the deeper parts of yourself, then it's going to be really hard for you to be able to begin to release all the different layers of who you truly are. So the first thing is being able to look at trusting yourself to be able to find a safe space. Trusting that there is a part of you, there is an amazing, powerful part of you that will awaken when you find a space that is really safe. So I wanted to open up the floor maybe to Susan at this particular time. And Susan, maybe if you had some thoughts on what could people do to find a safe space when they're not in a really safe physical environment?
This is a question that comes up with my clients quite often. And when I talk to them, one of the things I get them to do is to get out in nature. It can be sitting on a park bench alone. It can be sitting at a cafe. It can be any of those things. But just getting out of your toxic environment into a different environment. Because just stepping through the threshold of a bad environment into a nice environment changes the way you think. And you feel more in touch with your being, with that part of yourself, your own self-compassion, to look at your situation and say, I trust myself to make decisions. I trust myself to do what's right for me. I trust listening to my internal voice and moving forward. But you have to step out of that environment and into another environment. And I find a lot of times women who are in bad relationships find it difficult to talk to friends and family. And a lot of them start their journey of trust alone, learning to retrust themselves. That is the one thing that I would say, learn to trust yourself. Step into the quiet and listen to your voice. She's got an important message for you. Listen.
That's really beautiful. And maybe, Maya, I know that you're an expert in this, is what are some of the tools that you think people could use to learn to trust themselves? Like, what are some of, you're amazing. We've spoken many times about this. So what sort of tips would you advise people to begin to go in?
Okay, interesting. First of all, I totally agree with Susan. Changing, like physically removing yourself from the situation totally helps. And I work a lot with high sensitive people. I'm one of them, so I totally understand how it feels, and really it does help. So it's really good. And what I do, I help women really listen to their inner guidance. Because we do have all the tools, we have all the wisdom within us, but we just ignore it or don't trust it. We always question it. Now, one thing that is most important to realize is that the mind is there to trick you. So the doubt, the critique, it's just the mind. It's not the truth. It's not the reality. So first thing that I would say, quiet that mind. Pay attention to that little flash of insight, the vision, the feeling, the thought that comes first. Like, it's very quick, very subtle, and we often ignore it. The one that you ignore, you pay attention to that. That's the truth. So that will always bring you to your wisdom. And so if you have that, flash of insight, it could be like, oh, this feels wrong. And then you're like, man, no, I'm just over exaggerating. That's the mind coming in to confuse you, So maybe trust that feeling more, because then you will learn to hear it better, and then it will be more louder. It won't be as subtle as it is now, because the mind is very loud and very clear. So it can be that's what we hold on to first, because we think, oh, it's the rational thing to do. But especially women, we have really strong intuition, and you just need to trust it more and develop it more, and then it's always correct. I've been testing it for years, and really every time I went against it, it was just a bad idea. So it's a really great tool. I call it the inner GPS. And then it can help you sense when the situation can be, what is safe, what isn't, where you can go, who you can trust. And so in that way, maybe that could be, that's definitely a good tip that I'd recommend to anyone. It really helps.
Wonderful. That's really great, guys. Thank you so much. And so those of you who are listening, what I would recommend now is, if you don't already have a piece of paper and a pen, go grab a piece of paper and pen and maybe write some of these tips and techniques down. So what we were saying is that the first thing that's really important is to trust that the answers are within you, and you do have that inner GPS. So it's about every day asking yourself, where can I go that really supports me in tapping into the stillness of who I am? So going to nature, like Susan said, being alone, maybe meditating, finding a space where you can really just close your eyes and be in that stillness. If it's in the morning, in the evening, for me, it's, running, any exercise, anything like that brings the stillness, that removes all the chaos and the monkey of the mind. That's the very, very first step. I think that's why it's really important. But if we're talking about the monkey brain and the awareness and the loudness of the thoughts, that leads us to step number 2, which is really honing in on awareness. And I really believe that who we are as people, like has been mentioned before, the perceptions that we have and the thoughts that we have are not the truth of who we are. I believe that the truth of who we are is that power and passion that is found within, is that feminine intuition. And the light of who we are is that intuition. It's not the thoughts that we have. And just a little bit on what I feel is, I feel that we're born a spiritual being having a human experience rather than a human having a spiritual experience. And what that means to me is that we're born this kind of like this blank canvas, aren't we? And what happens is that society starts conditioning our beliefs and starts telling us what to think, who to be, what's right and what's wrong. So it starts to show us the different judgments of right and wrong. And if we don't fit into a particular box or a particular judgment, we feel that who we are is not good enough. And we start to have all these different reflections from when we are born. And what happens when we have this reflection is we feel we're not good enough as people, and we feel that we have to take on a belief system in order to fit in. So this is where all your different thoughts and perceptions come in. And it is about being aware of, well, that is just a box that I have created. And that's not really the truth of who I am. So we'll jump over to Susan and we'll ask Susan the question, which is, if people wanted to become aware of what are some of the conditioned views that society has created, what tips would you give people to start looking at, okay, well, I do trust that there is a power and passion within me, But how can I start being aware of what is the mind versus what is the power and what is the passion and what is the intuition? What would you advise the listeners to start doing?
I just wrote about this in my book. So this is one of my key things I like teaching people. We talk about that gut voice, intuition, your internal GPS. Okay, so I'll use an example that we are put into every day, and that's the example of being asked a question, and our gut instinct says, "I want to say no." And then our conditioned brain comes in and says, "Yes, but you might hurt her feelings or start a conflict." So this says no. The brain comes in and says, Susan, do what you're supposed to do the right thing. Is that the right thing for you? Because we're taught to not create conflict. That's a box. That's a label. We're taught to be kind, compassionate, all of those kinds of things. But we're not taught to be those things to ourselves. We're not self-aware of our own need for self-kindness and self-compassion. So I always say to clients, if somebody asks you a question and your gut instinct says to say no, say no. Don't listen to all those voices, all that conditioning you've been given in life. Say no. No excuses, no explanation, no guilt, no shame, just no.
Wonderful. That's really, really great. It's, for me, really being in your feminine power means honoring yourself.
That's right.
We're told that we can't say no, so we don't. I was thinking today, and obviously in preparation for this webinar, I've been going through the same process of understanding where am I in my power and where am I not. And I think I recorded about 20 times during the day that I had done something that I didn't want to do, but I had done it because I thought that I had to and I was expected to. So it's really interesting how we do say yes.
Yes, and we do all this should stuff.
Yes.
And then we feel resentful and angry and sad, and all of these negative emotions come up simply because we're not honoring what we really truly want to do.
Yes, yes. And this is what the hope is from, this webinar and obviously the online program that we're collaborating on, those of you who are listening, is to provide that space where you can begin to become aware of where are you giving up your power, and creating that safe space where you can begin to trust and say yes or say no, and trust and honor that you are deserved of having that life where you are honoring yourself. And I think that what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to Maya and we're going to ask her about step number 3, which is this idea of, okay, well, yes, I feel that a lot of who we are is actually a reactive part. It's not really, a lot of what we do is not choice. It is more reaction to conditioned views and beliefs. And what we do is whenever we react, we beat ourselves up, especially those of us who are on a spiritual journey, as we think that we should, you were talking, Susan, about should, and I love should because, I really love Louise Hay. I'm trained in her work and I use a lot of her work in my one-to-ones and my workshops, an awareness technique of when you're in that lower mind versus the higher mind is whenever you say should is the expectation, that's replacing it with could. So those of you who are watching, that's a great idea, is write down whenever you say I should, then you're in the, you're not in the truth, you're in the conditioned you. But, step number 3, Maya, you can tell us a little bit about how to do this, but step number 3 for me is acceptance of the human reactions. We had a great conversation, Maya, where we were talking about how even we go through these really, really bad times when we're feeling depressed, when we're feeling anxious, and where we're just beating ourselves up for feeling anxious and, for feeling depressed. And, maybe you can give us some insight on how can we begin to provide a space where we love all of who we are.
Well, I think it's a lifelong learning process, and I'm really glad that you mentioned, like how you even notice, like we're working on this stuff every day, and you still notice yourself, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that, and so it's really, I feel it's like everything, it's important to practice. You really need to be aware of this every single day. And like I had one friend of mine who was kind of disappointed when I told her, like, you have to work on yourself every day, until you, like, forever. And she was like, what, really? Oh my God. I was like, what else do you have? Do you have something better to do? So we forget about ourselves, like, and it's like, it's the most important relationship in your life. That's the only person that's for sure with you until the end. You're yourself. So your relationship with yourself is most important. Now, I totally agree. Yes, so everything when we say we should, like, there's so many roles we are playing, and we are not even aware of. And the good side of it is that they're all just programs. So we really need to start listening to our inner guidance and connecting with what do we want. And one thing that we always get obsessed with, especially women, we really tend to kind of we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so we're just adapting so much on daily basis that we are just completely, and then of course then we are surprised why are we so frustrated sometimes, and what is the reason. It's the reason that we're not honoring ourselves. So it's so important. So for me it was the biggest revelation. The your third step was actually a big revelation for me, because I was always a high sensitive person, and I was always told that I should not cry, I should not feel this weakness. It's the weakness, actually, it's the weakness. It took me a long time to actually realize that actually it's my strength, it's my guide, and what helps me learn, see in life many things, exactly, like to see who I can work with, who not, where to go, what not to do, and this kind of thing. So it's very good. We should really honor that. And for me, what made a big difference is to accept what I'm feeling. Accept, well, actually the feeling, mostly the feeling, not so much what I'm thinking, but really the feeling first. And honestly, it's okay to say no. It's okay to set those boundaries, and you can still be kind, and you can still respect other people. It's just the way you present it is what matters, I think. That, so if you're feeling like you will hurt somebody's feelings, you won't hurt anyone's feelings if you're honoring yourself. You just make sure that you're not being rude in the process, which I mean, if you're a compassionate person, of course you won't. But it's really important to do that, and by doing that you will gain more respect from others. Actually, it's interesting because we see men do that many times, but it's so normal for them, like, but we are always worried if we don't want to hurt anyone. But really accepting what is in the moment is really important, and then letting it go. What helped me, like, to honor that feeling, breathe in the moment, and through the breath just let it out, and let all the worries. You can do a lot of visualizations on that, but this acceptance is really important, because that means you are accepting who you are, and that's okay. You don't need to explain it to anyone else. You don't have to, like Susan said, like, you don't have to give any explanations, really, like, and what we really do quite often. But it's really okay. You can say what you feel. It's absolutely okay. Nobody can tell you anything else. So I don't know if that helps, if that's what you were kind of aiming to hear.
Yeah, of course. And I was just thinking as you were talking of the law of attraction, and Abraham Hicks talks about this idea of how that which you resist persists. So when
Yes.
we're constantly fighting against who we are and what we need to be in that moment, I think a lot of us think that our emotions are wrong. And this is what I talk about. Is I've created a model, is called the authentic emotional guidance scale, that basically that talks about how our emotions are a beautiful guide. If we have
Yes.
on the top of the scale, we have the 10, which is love and joy and passion, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then on the bottom is like anxiety and depression. You know, your emotions are guiding you to where are you? Are you in your soul's passion and your truth and where you're supposed to be, or are you living in the mind? And I think whenever I feel bad or I think that I should be feeling something else, I always try and remind myself that my emotions are trying to guide me, and it's the gift, which I usually feel after I've processed everything. But you know, it's really helpful for us to see it as a gift and as a guide, rather than trying to stop. You know, we don't like feeling that feeling in the body, do we? No one likes it, but it's understanding that just the allowing of the emotions in our body will allow it to flow out, you know, which is going to be our next step, which is the releasing and the forgiveness. And I think that if we allow ourselves to feel the emotions within our body rather than trying to block them, because when we block them, we all know that that emotion gets stored within the emotional body. And the more that we store heavy emotions, heavy vibrational emotions in our body, the more the blocked energy becomes, the more the energy becomes blocked, and then that manifests as physical disease, doesn't it? Yeah. There are a lot of studies that show that now, that a lot of our illnesses are caused by blocked emotions. So it's important, it's what you were saying, Maya, about releasing in the out breath. You know, what I sometimes say to my clients is it's being aware of it, like seeing it like a cloud, being aware of that which is no longer serving your highest good, but then releasing it like in the out breath. So maybe, Susan, you've got some great techniques that we could use, or some great advice on how is it that we can release. So we're now in awareness of that which no longer serves us. We're in awareness of there are certain things that aren't in alignment with our power and our passion. Yes, I am saying yes or no to things that I know don't honor me. But how can I now begin to release those things that don't serve my highest good?
Well, the answer to that question is that you don't need to know how to release them. You have to be willing. You just have to be willing. And if you sit in the power and the knowledge that you're willing to let it go and not hold on to it. For example, I have a lot of clients, they come to me, they're in a very bad emotional place. They're angry, they're sad, they're angry again, they're all of those things. And they feel it necessary to hold all of that in and show a brave face and all of those things. And I tell them, no, if you need to rage, if you need to sit in your book with your journal and you need to write all the things you're angry about, do it, because that's a form of release. If you're crying, if you're weeping and you're crying and you're sad because the dream died, that dream of a happy married life died, let it out. Let it out, because that's a form of release, but don't try to choke those emotions in. So my thing about releasing is let it come, let it flow, let yourself feel it, and then be just as willing to let it go. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just be willing to let it go and move on. And it's the same with self-forgiveness, which is a big part of the work that I do. The very first thing that I tell women to write in their journal every day at the top of their page is, today I forgive myself for any mistakes I might make. Because you have already showed yourself compassion, that you're human and you might make a mistake, whatever that is, big, large, medium, doesn't matter. And that at the end of the day, you release it and you forgive yourself.
Forgiving ourselves, that is, you know, I think it's harder to forgive ourselves than it is to forgive. What do you ladies think? Which is harder, to forgive yourself or to forgive other people?
To forgive yourself.
Definitely forgive yourself.
Yeah.
I do the same practice I do with my clients as well. I have a forgiveness technique that I use, and I've done it. I do it very often as well. And I have been able to forgive others much easier. Whenever I have to forgive myself, I end up crying, and it's just so hard. Just like, why is it so difficult to forgive yourself? You know, you think it would be easy, but actually it's really much more difficult. You would be surprised.
Well, the women that I work with are coming from a place where they believe that they did something wrong and deserved what they got, and they find it difficult to forgive themselves and recognize that it had nothing to do with them. It had nothing to do with them. It's a story in your whole book. It's a story. Turn the page, release it, let it go. Forgive yourself for getting involved with somebody who turned out to be not what he said he was, and move on.
That's beautiful, because that leads us to step number 5, which is inventing. You know, now that we have released that which no longer serves us, we turn the page, like you beautifully said, Susan, and what we have is a blank page. Now, what do we invent for ourselves in our lives? I often say that before going to bed, I give people the advice to do maybe like a shaking exercise. You know, like shake the hands, shake the head, shake the body. And as you're shaking the different parts of your body, you're setting the intention that I'm releasing the energy that is blocking me from moving forward. And you release all that energy before you go to sleep. And then when you wake up, before getting out of bed, you ask yourself the question, okay, today, how can I step in my inner feminine power and passion? How can I today create experiences that are in alignment with my highest worth, my true joy, my true passion? So if every day we can wake up and have a blank page, wouldn't it be amazing what we could create? Because we've forgiven ourselves, we've released. Now we have a blank space where we can truly invent anything. Wouldn't that be amazing? If
I
we
love
did it
that.
every day.
I know. I love that visual.
Yeah. I really, really love it. So what are some great affirmations, Susan, that people can use? So I really believe in affirmations. So an affirmation that I would wake up, I would open my arms. You can't really see it in the webinar, but open my arms wide, and I would say, I am open and receptive to all good. That's one that Louise Hay uses a lot. I am open and receptive to all good. I am powerful. I am passionate. I am divinely guided and connected to my highest guidance, and I you know, I'm a sassy goddess. You know, we can create all these amazing affirmations to create a day in alignment with that awesome vibration. Susan, what type of affirmations do you use? Affirmations, or what sort of things what tips do you give people to invent a space of power and passion?
For affirmations, I use a lot of affirmations in my work, and I recommend to my clients that they have to use the 3 P's: personal, purposeful, and passionate. And all of them have to start out with I am, I can, or I will. Yeah. Because those are forward moving statements. They're all forward moving. Yeah. So for me, one of my favorites that I use every day when I wake up and I'm lying in bed, because as you said, Maya, self-love, work is a daily event. Before I get out of bed, the thing I say to myself is, Susan, every day in every way, you are getting better and better. Mm-hmm. And that's what moves me forward.
Wonderful. Every day you are getting better and better. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm just not specific about it. I'm just getting better. But when you're writing them, I like to have people write them in the morning and at night, because there is a sense of change that happens during the day, and we oftentimes come up upon things that make us feel anger, or they get on our nerves, or they crush our dreams, or whatever. So it's good to come back and do more personal affirmation work at nighttime along with your gratitude. Yeah. So that you can flip the switch on any of that negativity that happened during the day and kind of got in your way.
Wonderful. Really, really wonderful. And you, Maya, what sort of tips do you share with people to invent?
To invent, okay, interesting. I have so many. Well, I do a lot of visualizations actually.
Great, that's a great
So
one. Yeah.
visualization, the power of visualizations are really amazing. I even record guided meditations, and there's so many of them also out there. So definitely, because the brain doesn't know what's real, what's not. So might as well just focus on the vision that you really want to achieve. But for affirmations, you know what I like? Because it's really easy to think of things that bother us. I say, okay, start what, if you don't know what you want, just look at like what is bothering you in your life right now. Say like, for example, my boss hates me, for example, and then turn it around and put it as an empowering statement, like okay, I want to have a boss that respects me, so we say I have a boss that respects and honors me, for example. Or for example, I feel worthless, then say I am worthy of abundance or whatever. You know, so turn it around, because many times people don't know what they want, so but they do know what they don't like. So then I say, okay, get to the negative and then switch it around, or limiting beliefs and then turn it around. So in that way, one of my favorites is I'm happy, healthy, and abundant, because it kind of, I feel like it covers it all. And I also use the P's. You know, I think it's really important to make it personal. I make it as it is already manifested. I like to add the positive, so it's in a positive way stated, and so also not mentioning the things you don't want in an affirmation, but rather focusing on the positive outcome that you want to have. So instead of like I'm not in pain, you say I am. Instead of, don't say I am pain free, but I wouldn't even put pain, but I feel good in my body, or for example like that. You know, like make it really positive. And if you can add a positive feeling to it, it's even better. For example, I am grateful to be feeling good in my body, or I am blessed to have all the abundance in my life, you know, in that way. So that I feel enhances it. And then I use a lot of subliminal messages. I like to program my mind, and EFT for me, it's a very good technique.
Yeah,
I would recommend. Wonderful. Because it's really fast and effective.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's awesome that you were talking about positivity and feeling the joy, because that's step number 6, which is vibrancy of life. And for 2 reasons, it's important for us to focus on positivity. The first is because, yes, affirmations are so much more powerful when we attach positive emotions to it, but also because, you know, we only have, well, some people believe we do have more than one life, but we have one life, and it's important that what we do is we have fun with it. You know, we're really, really serious a lot of times, and I think people are becoming more and more serious as the years go by. But, you know, be like a kid again and love life. You know, you're going through a bad time, that's okay. Like, see the positive in it, and just to start to elevate the vibration within your body, because I feel that this step is probably one of the most important of all 7, is because it shifts the focus from the negativity to the positivity. And the higher you are in the vibration of joy and passion and love, the more you start to awaken the divine within you, that truth that we're all wanting so desperately to live all of our lives. You know, when we're feeling unhappy, it's because we're not in that divine happiness. We're not in that fulfillment. We're not in that oneness and connection with our truth. And I feel a great way to do that is to start becoming aware of what makes you feel happy, what makes your heart sing, you know, what inspires you, what makes you feel passionate. Going back to, when was the last time that you felt passionate? I often, you know, recommend that what people do is they write down every day what made them feel the happiest. And then after, 21 days, it's usually a 21-day challenge. After 21 days, they have a whole list of things that made them feel happy. And then doing at least one thing every day that makes you feel, on a scale of 0 to 10, the highest, at least a 7, at least an 8, so that we can start focusing and shifting our vibration to really positive things, so that we can start stepping into that power and passion that we are deserved of, that we deserve happiness. We really do. We deserve to have a life that is abundant in this positive energy.
Yes.
I don't know, Susan, any thoughts on how important it is to just increase our vibration?
One of the things that I find so sad in the world is people focus so much on the negative things in their life. They focus so much on what they don't have, what they feel they'll never achieve, what is going wrong, all of those things. And I tell people all the time, if you get stuck there, your brain has a very difficult time getting out of that energy. It has a really difficult time. And to snap out of it, schedule play, do something that's fun, smile, just smile. That will change the endorphins in your brain. So I have a little exercise that I do with people, and it's called schedule play in your day, because we don't play enough. As adults, we just simply don't play enough. And that can be anything that you want to do. For me, I was standing in a lineup. This is a true story. Big, long lineup, a big queue in a store at Christmas time. And people were starting the bitching and complaining, and it's so long, and she's not fast enough, and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, instead of going, let's do something different. So I started to sing Rock Around the Christmas Tree. Just really loud. And of course, everybody naturally started to smile.
Yeah.
And other people started to sing. And before you know it, the spirit was joyous instead of focusing on the long lineup. So all of that to say, anytime you're in a negative experience, what can you do in that moment to bring joy? So if you're stuck in traffic, instead of complaining about it, look at it as an opportunity to listen to your favorite song 10 times over and over again and dance in your car, or, any of those things.
Yeah.
Take that moment, live in the moment, and find a way to turn it around. You're in a long lineup, talk to the person behind you, get to know them, smile. That's what I say. Change that negativity, because it is so easy to get stuck in negativity. It's just beyond easy to get stuck in negativity. Find a way to get that playful spirit out and open and joyous, and turn it around, and it affects other people as well. So just schedule play. Something bad is happening, turn it around and make it a play date.
I love it, because I really resonate with inner child healing. And I think that the child within us is one of our greatest guides, our greatest supports. And I think if we can tap into the child within us, I think we'll be living a lot more in alignment with our truth than when living in the mind, the adults.
One of the things that stops us from doing playful things out in public is that limiting belief, that voice, that negative voice that comes in and says, what will people think? How, that's the little voice. So for me, I've come to the conclusion that I don't care what other people think. And if a good song comes on the radio while I'm grocery shopping, I'm going to sing and dance along while I'm doing my thing. So we have to get over that fear, that terrible fear that these people are judging us.
Yeah.
It interferes with your joy and your vibrancy of life.
Yeah. Yes, judgment and fear are one of the key things that stop us from stepping into our feminine power and passion. That's great. Thank you, Susan. So Maya, what about you? What advice can you give people who want to step into that vibrancy?
I mean, I'm definitely one example of inner child being active totally. Like I'm getting younger as I grow older. That's one thing.
Me
Like
too.
that can be your motivation. Seriously, I stopped aging after 30. I turned 30. Like nobody can guess my age because like you won't do it because I look way younger than I am. So there you go. If you want to get younger, be playful.
I love
Cherish your inner.
that.
Yeah, it is like my main. Well, no, it's not my motivation, but it's really. I'm surprised that it's actually happening because I do feel more vibrant, and yeah, you attract a lot of good things in your life, a lot of blessings, a lot of attraction. And I work with angels a lot, and there's one thing: angels love it when you're playful. They bring you so much more blessings when you're playing like a child,
Yeah.
and it's really really important. And one idea that I really like and I always recommend is to create your own feel good jar
Mm.
and write a list of things that make you feel good and then put it on little pieces of paper and put it in a jar, so whenever you feel down or maybe not inspired, you just pick one of the activities and it's a surprise, so it's
Yeah.
kind of you get an idea of what you can do. For me personally, a lot what helps me a lot is definitely animals.
Mm.
I love animals, so for me, like just hanging out with a cat or a dog, that's I'm like an inner child. I'll be on the floor rolling with them, so
That's
that helps.
wonderful.
You in Paris you even have a cafe with cats, and it's really crazy because like you have all these people who came to have coffee. In the end, everybody's playing with cats in the
That's
cafe.
great.
It's like nobody's leaving for hours.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, find like you said, find something that makes you happy. Go back to your childhood. What are the hobbies that you have forgotten? That's like one of the things I also remind people of, like what did you do when you were a kid and you forgot about doing, and go back to that. I started painting a few years ago, like, and I love it. And I'm not a real great painter, but it's a fun thing, and I get messy and I use my fingers, and it's just really fun thing to do.
Mm.
Singing, dancing, anything that makes you happy. And if you feel embarrassed in front of other people, then just do it in your home. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Just don't skip it because it's really important.
Mm.
You're blocking it, and many times I see kids, how free they are, and I'm thinking, oh my god, if I really start behaving like that, that would be so crazy. But why not, like you said, Susan, like start singing. And I'm sure you've seen that video of somebody in a metro or a bus started laughing like crazy, like ah, and then in the end everybody's laughing
Everyone's
because it's
laughing. Yeah.
it's contagious. It's
Yeah.
amazing. You can just start even if nothing is funny, and you will for sure end up really truly laughing and feeling the endorphins coming into your brain and feeling really good about yourself.
Yeah. I've done laughter yoga before, and it's quite interesting. It starts off being very weird, but then it ends up just being amazing. It's awesome when you feel that laughter very, very deep within you. I think that's really where our passion is and where our true power is. And that's what step 7 is really about, is this: what can we do every single day to truly expand and emancipating those belief systems that are those limiting belief systems that are keeping us stuck. And how can we begin to expand and completely open up our vibration so that we can be in that constant space of laughter and joy and passion and flow, where we are getting the blessings from the angels and we are laughing and being joyous. And step number 7 is about continuous growth work. Every day doing something that allows you to break free from that which is keeping you stuck. So we're going to complete the webinar. We're almost finished now. And what I wanted to do is hand over and ask Susan and ask Maya, if you could give just one tip that people could do every single day that would allow them to step into their inner feminine power and passion, what would that be? Susan, what would you say is a great tip that people could, just one tip that people could do every day?
Celebrate your success. Every day we have some success. People think that success has to be grandiose. It has to be huge in order to be celebrated. And I say that's a bunch of rubbish. Every day we take little steps into our courage, into our fear, and we step forward into our growth. Celebrate that success. Come home at the end of the day and say, I did it. This is my I did it list. This is all the things I did. Celebrate every day.
Celebrate. And then give yourself a treat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Chocolate,
Yes.
wine, flowers, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Celebrate and then honor yourself. And that would be my step. So I'm going to add it onto yours is, honoring yourself. At least do one thing every single day that makes you feel deserved. That is kind of like, okay, today I am honoring myself by doing this because I deserve it. I'm lacking this idea of honoring. So celebrate and then do something that honors you. Love it. Maya, what would you say?
Oh my God, you said it already. But the first thing that came to mind, I mean, it's definitely practice that listening to that inner voice, for sure, connecting with that on daily basis. And one thing that I wanted to also mention before, but we moved on to a different subject, like when things are going maybe not the way you want it, just trust you don't see the big picture. There you may be avoiding something worse or something that is if you're stopped in a queue, for example, it could be a blessing. So don't rush, don't push it, slow down, pay attention to the present moment, pay attention to your breath, bring your awareness to the present moment. And the first thing that came to mind that actually was gratitude. Really count your blessings, because you might be luckier than you think, and just honor that. Because when you are grateful for blessings, and even grateful for those situations when you're feeling not so perfect, trust that there is a learning process in it, and just really try to see the lesson in it, and then let it go, and bring the awareness to the present moment and be grateful for every moment, because you are here, you're present, you deserve to be here, and be grateful for your life, for everything that is coming into to your life, and everything that has come into your life until now, because that's why you are here where you are, and honor that. It's really connected to you, like honor yourself, treat yourself with something nice, just be grateful, because that will bring more things to be grateful for. You will attract more beautiful things into your life.
Beautiful. Wonderful. And I think that what we're going to do before we complete is I wanted to offer up an opportunity for those of you who are listening to take part in an amazing collaborative opportunity that we've set up, where what you can actually do is you can join us in a 7-week course, 7-week online program, where we're going to help you to step into every single one of these soul steps. So if we have a look at what we're actually offering you today, is we've created an amazing program with Maya, with Susan, with Mary, with 10 people from around the world who are experts in feminine power and passion. And what we're doing is we're putting together a course that's going to help you completely expand and emancipate, remove the limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck, and providing you with a space where you can increase in your vibration and step into the power and the passion that you are deserved of. So basically, a quick rundown of the online program that we're offering you today is we're going to be offering you 7 videos, meditations, growth worksheets. We're producing a book. We're going to be doing live questions and answers over the course of the 7-week Facebook challenge, private Facebook support throughout the week. We're going to be doing interviews and podcasts. We're creating this program that's valued at, I would say it's actually valued at more than £2,000, but we're advertising it we're basically gifting it to you for £497 because we believe in this product so much that we're actually giving it to you at this discounted course. But today, if you are going to subscribe, if you're willing, or if you're wanting to take part in this, we're going to give you a 10% discount coupon code. So if you type in, I'll give you the link in a moment. If you type in the word power in the checkout, there's a little space for the coupon code. You will get 10% discount for the next 24 hours. So for the next 24 hours only, we're offering you 10% discount on this amazing opportunity to really step into your feminine power and passion. And I know that I'm a coach, a one-to-one coach, but Susan and Maya as well. So not only do you have an opportunity to work with us in this amazing Facebook challenge, or either do it yourself, Susan and Maya are also open to working with you should you wish and will to work with them. So Susan, is there anything that you are offering over the course of the next 24 hours to those who are watching this webinar? Anything that you're wanting to provide them?
I absolutely offer a 90-minute VIP session for no charge.
Wow.
And it's all about you and diving deep into your recovery and getting in touch with that feminine power that you have buried that needs to get out. I want you to free your voice. So it's completely free, and it's my gift to you. 90 minutes, you and me.
That's so wonderful, Susan. Thank you so much for that. And we're going to be sharing this webinar on various platforms. So what you'll see is you'll get a link to how you can get in contact with Susan and get that amazing 90-minute free gift, which is awesome, as well as the online course will be available to you in that link as well. Maya, is there anything that you're offering today to those watching this webinar?
Well, yes, after 90 minutes, I'm sorry, I'm offering just a 45 minutes, but a very intense session for where we can clear those blocks and really define what is actually your limiting belief and how we can solve it. And if necessary, do some forgiveness and healing work, because I'm also a Reiki master. So I can offer in this session whoever needs it, and it's really helpful to balance your energy and clear your limiting beliefs in this 45-minute session. So if you want to work with me, you can also get to know me better and see how I proceed. I work on a really spiritual level. Everything that I do is on a spiritual level to create the awareness of the world that we live in and how to approach it. So and how to connect with your inner guidance. So that's really the basis of my work. So this is an opportunity to get to know each other and see how and if we want to work together and if we're the right fit. So if you want to do that and get some clarity and a little bit of energy, then let me know.
Yeah, that's really, really wonderful. So, you know, these are just 2 of the 10 amazing ladies that are going to be joining us in our online program. So we really recommend that what you do is you jump on, go to the link that you now see, and we'll share it below in various platforms, but jump onto this online program. You know, you will not only be getting one-to-one support during the 7 weeks in our Facebook group from these amazing ladies that you've connected with in today's webinar, but from many, many others. You know, it's a once in a lifetime transformational opportunity. We've got to start stepping into our power, ladies. You know, I'm very much aware at the moment of where I'm giving my power up and where I have in the past and where people have taken my power away, but I really want to start stepping into my power and passion. So definitely jump on that link, type in the coupon code POWER, and then you'll get the 10% discount for the next 24 hours. It'll be valid. So that takes us up to Monday at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock Paris time. So we're going to complete the webinar now. Just to summarize what it is that we have looked at. We've looked at the 7 steps to thriving in your inner feminine power and passion. And we've had some amazing tips from the wonderful Susan and Maya. We looked at step number 1, which was trusting yourself, trusting that inner voice inside of you, knowing, like, Maya was saying, we don't know what the big picture is, but trusting that if you listen to that still voice, you are going to be guided to taking the steps that are in alignment with your truth. Step 2 is just being aware of the limiting beliefs that are blocking you, that are limiting you. But then step 3, being in the love and being in that allowance and love of who you are, being in love of the human. Step number 4 is releasing that which no longer serves you, providing that space where you forgive yourself, which is sometimes harder than forgiving others, but it is worth it. Releasing that energy before going to bed. Every day, I was saying, before you invent, which is step number 5, invent from a space of being powerful and creating those daily affirmations. And that brings us to step number 6, which I think was our favorite. We were talking about vibrancy and loving life and creating a space of play, like Susan was saying, every day. Set, what did you say, Susan? It was creating a space of play?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having a play date with yourself.
Having a play date with yourself. That was really awesome. And then step number 7 is your daily growth work. So what are you doing every single day? I have a morning ritual. Every morning I wake up, I journal, I spend some time with myself and allow the space for myself to expand and emancipate. Saying that, if we have any questions or answers, type them in the chat box now. But if you don't have any questions and answers, it's been absolutely amazing. I want to say thank you to Susan. I want to say thank you to Maya for taking time out of your busy schedules to support the amazing women and men who are listening to this webinar on various platforms. So thank you so much, ladies, for being a part of this webinar. I really am humbled and honored. So thank you very much to you guys.
Thank you. I look forward to the next one.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
So I think what we'll do then is we will complete the webinar. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And we're wishing you the best of luck stepping into your inner feminine power and passion. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Bye.